Welcome to the Be Ruthless show, where we have the conversations that other people don't, the conversations that other people won't. I'm your host, Sam Ruth, and I'm ready to make a lot of noise and disrupt things, ruthlessly. Thanks for being here today. Now let's get to it. Welcome back to the Be Ruthless show. I'm your host, Sam Ruth, and it is official. I'm allergic to winter. We have had a cold week for Colorado, and it's warmer than so many other places, and I'm so grateful. However, I officially consider myself from Colorado now, because like Michigan cold completely intimidates me, and I put on so many layers when I take these girls out. So just wanted to share that with you. The weather everywhere is crazy. We are living through really insane times. And that's what I want to talk about today. There is a rise in anxiety everywhere with people of all ages, but I have dealt with two incidents involving students, but my conversations have really been with the teachers. So I just want to share, there's no cookie cutter example. I can't say to you that this is what anxiety looks like, because it's different for every person who experiences it. So these two examples are pretty opposite, and they're both anxiety. So a few months ago, I've talked about living near the lake and walking my dogs there, and it also happens to be by a school. So a lot of times there are little field trips or outings, because it's Colorado and who wants to be inside. So a few months ago, there was a situation, and it's an off-leash dog area, by the way. So there was a little boy hiding in the bushes, and these bushes are not the kind you see like when you're walking through the neighborhood. Like, this is an area where there is tons of land, and so he was pretty back there, and the teachers were trying to engage him, didn't know what to do, and I approached and asked if I could help. And so here we have a situation of somebody like hiding, a dog had scared him, and he kind of shut down, and the teachers were doing everything they knew and they could think of, calling his name, asking other kids to call his name, right? Doing all of these things, but nothing was working. So I just did what I know to do. And that isn't really what's relevant to this story. But anyhow, I went and sat closer to where he was. I wasn't going through all of these bushes, but to be closer to his level, right? And just started listening and asking questions and de-escalating the situation. So anyhow, the result was that I connected with these teachers. They were really appreciative and thanked me. And it was, an eye-opening experience for everyone, because I didn't know if it was okay for me to approach and ask to assist. I've had really interesting experiences in Colorado with mental health here and how it's handled. So that was, for me, an eye-opening experience. And for them, they were really unaware of what to do, and the fact that somebody can talk them through it and show them. They didn't have these trainings in the school. And I don't know if that's universal for all of Colorado, but my guess is that it is. I am not the biggest fan of the lack of mental health support in the education system. So now the other example was just Friday, just a couple days ago, and it was the extreme opposite. Again, it was a boy. There are a lot of stereotypes that girls are more likely to experience anxiety. And afterwards, in the conversations I had, the teachers expressed that they felt like they would have been more comfortable addressing it with a girl. This was, again, a boy, a little bit of an older boy, so bigger, and he was acting out and being aggressive. And to any eyes that don't know anxiety, it looked like an outburst. It looked like a situation that could be violent. So they saw me there again with my dogs and recognized me, and this time asked if I would help. And I did some of the same things, which surprised them because these two scenarios were presenting so differently, right? One person is shutting down and isolating, and another is escalating and acting up. You know what I mean. So they were surprised that one approach could be handled with two different scenarios. And again, I want to point out that that isn't always the case, but I don't consider conversations, listening, asking questions, I don't consider that a technique or an approach. I was just trying to connect with these boys that were struggling. And I knew that because I know what it looks like and because I've been there. And so when you have people reacting that don't know how to support you or get you through it, and you feel like all these teachers and all these students are coming at you, right? It's only making it worse for the person in crisis. So everything was handled fine. They were very grateful. We talked, and they ended up going back to their principal, superintendent, and asking for training in the school and asking for me to come in and provide support because the cases are rising. They're seeing more anxiety. And how can any of us be surprised by that? We are living in a really crazy world with crazy times, and people of all ages are anxious. So we can't expect kids not to be, right? And so here are teachers saying, please give us support. They're asking the questions, they're asking for the education, and they were told no. And in Michigan or in the Midwest, this would have shocked me. I could walk into a school, volunteer. This has nothing to do with budget. They didn't present a cost. They were just shut down. And that has been my experience in Colorado. And it is extremely frustrating because here we have people saying, we want the help. It's not even help that's being forced on them. Think about how many trainings you've had to do in a job that your company requires. And it's just part of being there. This is a training they're asking for. They're saying, we need this. We're seeing a rise in anxiety in our students. And we think bringing in outside help to talk us through what to do when those things happen would be beneficial. And the school says no. So that's one issue, right? My thoughts about Colorado and mental health here and how it's handled. That's one issue. And the next, and what is so relevant, is that they contacted me anyway. They didn't take no for an answer. They contacted me and said, what can we do? And I don't have to go into a school to provide support for teachers. The students are in the school. The teachers have lives, so do the kids, but they're asking of their free time to set something up. So for now, it's winter, I'm allergic, right? So we can do something on Zoom. And when it warms up, we can do something outdoors, social distancing, no matter what's going on in the world. If there are people who want education and want support, what I want you to know is that there are people who want just as much to give it to you. And it's available. And I love that they didn't take no for an answer. That's my reputation. And a lot of my clients would tell you that's how I operate. And it's not to be rebellious and defiant. It's to get my needs met or my clients' needs met, right? So praise to these teachers. I'm so grateful to have connected and be a part of a group that wants to do better. And it brings me to this world we live in, right? We all can be asking these questions. We all can be having these conversations. The news shows us, and the conversations, not the things going on in the world today, talk about what you can do if you are struggling with depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, anything, right? The focus is on what the individual struggling can do. There's not so much focus on what can we do to better support people struggling with some sort of mental illness. Or how about just struggling with some sort of issue? We all have bad days. We all have things that can trigger us and push a button. Why not just asking the questions instead? That conversation about what people can do to get through their own issue, That's their conversation. The world needs to be talking about what the rest of us can do. How can we be there for people struggling? What can we do to better educate ourselves? What conversations do we need to be having? Where can we find the support? If our agencies and our organizations turn us down, what can we do privately to still get the support that we want? These teachers are trying to be better people for their students. And I think that the families and the parents of these students would be jumping up and down if they knew, with excitement, that the teachers want to do better, and with anger that the schools are saying no. And I want to point out that this is not a budget issue, because there are people like me that will go in and volunteer. And yes, there are other people that charge, but there are people who will do it. There are things we can do now, not putting it off until something else happens. I don't want to see something escalate if I am not at the lake when this happens and hear a story on the news about some sort of more traumatizing event. Let's talk about the fact that the other kids were there and had to watch this, right? These two situations were handled and they still have ripple effects. What about the ones when no one is there to help and people are doing the best that they can, the best that they know, and it's not enough in that situation because they lack the training and they lack the education? So my outrage isn't new, and I'm sure that Colorado isn't the only place that something like this would happen, but I can promise you that there are places where it doesn't happen. So I thought this was really relevant to talk about because I have been seeing an increase in my anxiety clients since this pandemic began, and we're seeing it everywhere. Not everyone is picking up the phone and getting help. Not everybody knows that they're dealing with anxiety. Not everybody is ready to take that step. So we have people struggling. And as a society, as a world, we need to come together and figure out what we can do to be there for them in a better, supportive, more educated way. So I'm not going to name the school because I don't want to create problems. And again, this could be happening in so many places. It's not unique. But again, I want to reiterate that it is not how it has to go. If you want support, reach out. Even if I'm not in your area, even if I'm not the one that can provide it, I will help you find the person who will. Not every single person that I get on the phone with is a match to have services with me. They might not want to work with me, and I might think that I'm not the best fit for them. But that's not where it ends. I don't simply say goodbye. I'm going to help them find whoever does meet their needs and whoever is that right fit. And again, maybe that's the minority. I'm told that it is, but I'm not the only one. There are people who want to help you find the support you're looking for. So reach out. Sam@SamanthaRuth.com. If you don't want to contact me, contact a friend, a relative, somebody that can help you in your, I don't like the word fight, but in your quest. And that can be, and maybe it's not anxiety. Maybe we're talking about support with a learning disability. Whatever the case may be, the answer you hear doesn't have to be the end of the conversation. If you want more than you are being provided with and given, someone can help you. And if you reach out to one person and they can't, they can at least reach out to one more. Don't go through this alone, and don't take what you hear at face value. People like me and people like these teachers who rock the boat see outside of the box, and we recognize that this might not be an option in this environment, but we can make it an option somewhere else. And every single one of us has the power to do that in our personal lives, in our professional lives, right? These are their professional lives, and they're making it happen on their personal time. So there's always an answer, even when it's not obvious. So thank you, Colorado teachers, for being so amazing and wanting more. Thank you, everyone here, for tuning in and being a part of this amazing movement. I could not do it without you. Until next time, everyone, always be ruthless. Thanks so much for listening today. Your support means everything to me, truly. If this podcast resonates with you, please do me a favor and join in the Ruthless movement by making some noise and doing one of these 4 things. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Tell a friend so we can break stigmas even faster. Leave a review so people can see what you think of the show. And last, if you want to learn more about me and be a part of the Grief Hab community, please head on over to the Facebook group. We'd love to have you. Thanks again for spending your time with us, and see you next week.